It's oh, I'm blinded by the lights.
Did you hit record?
Yeah, we're recording at this point.
Can you do that solo one more time? No, I'm joking.
You can stream my music on Spotify on all platforms.
Wow.
What is in your life's blueprint?
Welcome to the We Love Philly podcast. That's my first time saying that. I used to say welcome to Salaah's Corner.
I know.
But welcome to the We Love Philly podcast.
Here we are.
My name is Salaah Muhammad. Who do we have with us?
You've got Namarah, your girl, Noms, a.k.a. Namarah.
Noms. I'm calling you Noms from now on.
I would love to be called Noms or Namarah, but not Namarah or Namarah or anything other than that. You know, in college, someone called me Viet Namarah, and I was like, absolutely
Well, that's what I think
not.
of when you say Nam.
Ooh.
Noms. I think of Vietnam. Hey, I was going to send you a meme the other day. It was a Disney movie.
You're more...
And it said Nam, and it's like a guy like going through the jungle, and they're like making fun of.
I'm going to have to send a meme to my friend Matt, because he was the one who started
Vietnams.
Yeah. No.
Let's go.
No.
Carlos Aponte is my name. I guess I do have cool nicknames. Aponte, Loso, in case you ain't know so. Shout out Fabulous.
CJ.
Fabolous. CJ. Yeah, I think that's it.
I don't have a nickname.
Sal.
I don't like
I
that.
thought they called you Lala.
I don't like that either.
Yeah, Salah's a hard name to have a nickname for, right?
It's also just a great name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
People
Very
want to
powerful.
just say it over and over.
Yeah, no, honestly, I feel that way.
Yeah.
Enough about me, because this isn't just about me. This is about We Love Philly, who we are, why we got here, and what we're doing. And so, who are you, Namarah? As a human being, who are you?
I'm currently itching my nose. Yeah, as a human, I am a woman. I'm a friend. I am a creative. I'm an artist. I'm an educator. I believe that all humans should be able to express and live the life that they want to live freely. I also really love sushi.
I don't.
Yeah. Point of conflict.
You had me on all of that until you got to the sushi part.
Yeah. Carlos is over there. I don't eat anything.
Salaah doesn't eat food.
He doesn't believe in food,
He doesn't
actually.
believe in food?
He wants food capsules.
Food capsules. There's not enough hours in the day to sit down and eat a meal and be with yourself.
You thought
I'm feeling
that was
very attacked right now, Carlos.
I am Carlos Aponte. I am a husband. I'm an educator. I'm really stepping into, I love that you asked that, because we had this conversation. I'm at a public speaking class to learn how to be a better public speaker. But a lot of my young people who are now in their early 20s have labeled me as like a father. Like I am dad. Yeah. And I've never seen myself as dad. So that is something that I've been like, am I a father?
Aww.
Yeah, I'm like, am I that? I've never really thought about that. And then I'm an educator. I believe that everyone should have the equal opportunity and resources and love and care to be able to help them get to become the best versions of themselves if that's what they want to be.
I love that.
Yeah. Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Who are
right?
you, Salaah?
Who am I? I am a husband, a father. I am a mentor to many. And I'm also realizing I am in this very unique position of being able to pass on my skill set, not just to my peers, but to the next generation. And I'm discovering this new energy that's around me where I'm able to connect the dots for folks and build on these relationships that I've gained over the years. And so I really am someone who wants to see the next person reach their full potential, whatever that is. And however I can be of assistance in that journey. That's me.
I love that.
Do you all consider yourselves a Philadelphian?
Through and through.
So I did not.
Shame.
No, so here's,
Shame.
I had so growing up as a kid, I absolutely did, because I wanted to prove that I was still Philly, even though my family, we moved to Cherry Hill. So North Philly represent, but we were like, yeah, it's a little violent. Let's go.
And you went to Cherry Hill.
Yeah, we went to Cherry Hill. Yeah, a little suburb life, right? And then whenever we would have church services, parents or pastors, all that stuff. So I would come over and youth group and they'd be like, hey, yo, we're the Philly squad plus Namarah. And I'm like, no, I'm from Philly too. So that was, the space. And then I really wanted to actually love the home that I grew up in, that part. So then I started leaning into I'm from New Jersey. And now that I'm back and everyone said that they're all husbands, and I'm like, I'm a new wife, y'all. Like,
Let's go.
Yeah, we're building our life and loving that in Philly. So we're here.
Nice.
And I think that perspective is so variable. Similar to you, I had a stint where I didn't live in Philly. And I feel like when you leave Philly, I grew up here, was born and raised here, but then didn't go to high school here. And once I went to Delaware County to go to high school, because my mom didn't want us going to Lincoln High School, you really see what the other side has and the resources they have, and how the education, for at least me, the education system is different, and how you can just feel ostracized when you go to a new place and you don't feel like you belong and you get labeled all of these things. And then coming back to Philly, you can apply what you have seen and what you have learned, and it really lights a fire into you if you want to come back to Philly to try to do something about it. I feel like a common thing about Philadelphians is they never leave Philadelphia, and then they start to have this perception of Philadelphia that it can't change and it will always be this way. But I feel like that perspective of leaving and going outside of it and seeing what's possible, there's no reason why it's not possible here.
Unlike both of you, I've always lived in Philadelphia. But at the same time, I've worked in other cities. And so I get what you're saying. The people who live here stay here, and it's almost like a stuck feeling of being here. Where for me, it's been, I've lived here, but not felt stuck here because I've done work in other cities. And I've always felt like I wanted to bring that back to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Or I've always felt like when I've done work in these other places, like I miss Philadelphia because it is so unique in its culture and its talent and its resources. And it is truly what I have always felt like. It's an untapped city of like, we are like as great of a city as that I think it is, we still haven't reached the full potential. And like I always come back thinking like, all right, I'm bringing this next new thing to Philly. I'm doing this next new venture and this new next creative project in Philly because I see the potential of what's happening elsewhere, how it could be here in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
1000%. Even though you grew up in Philly and you stayed, there was still of the storyteller, the voyage of in return.
Yeah.
So even though you lived here, you created experiences that were outside, and you're still engaging in other cultures, cities, atmospheres, and you're like, oh wow, I love this, I want to bring this back home. And I think that's also a huge chapter of growth. I spent a part of a month in Italy this past summer, and in the hostel I was staying at, there was this mural on the wall, right? And it was like, the travelers are the ones who grow the farthest. We get so used to what's familiar that we get tunnel vision, and we can only see what we see that's in front of us. Only when we leave and go and experience another environment do we come back and we find the new that's probably always been there, or the possibility of what's to come from that space, right? Yeah. And I found that to be my journey. That the first time I left the New Jersey, Philadelphia, greater Philadelphia area is to study for music. And I was in upstate New York. And it's funny, my high school band teacher asked me, he was like, Namarah, why are you going to study music outside of Philadelphia? It's one of the greatest cities of music. Like, y'all know, we have the people here. But I was just like, I just don't see it. I don't feel it. And I want to just get out of here. Have that kind of mentality that a lot of Philadelphians, younger Philadelphians will have of, I want to make it out of Philly somewhere else. And then I came back and I was like, oh, shoot, like there is so much here that I didn't even see. Some of it's also because I was just too young to be able to be a part of it. But the other aspect, too, is I didn't have the right community that I did before leaving. For all of us, one of the things that we want to do is to open the eyes of the younger generation to see, hey, this is what you have in front of you, but also let's provide you with that same voyage in return on so many different levels so that you can start to build and grow in your own space.
Carlos, you started all of
Visionary
this, right?
founder.
And what brought you to create the We Love Philly tribe? Let's start there. And what's the big thing that you're hoping to accomplish?
Yeah, so going off what Namarah said, right, it really is that storytelling, that voyage and coming back. So after graduating high school, coming right back and going to Temple and then living all throughout Philadelphia, eventually becoming a teacher in Philadelphia, and then educating our young people and really seeing that they never had that voyage moment. They have never left their blocks, their neighborhoods. They don't go beyond certain streets. Their parents don't trust that they could go to certain streets because it's not safe enough. I know when we were younger, it was like, hey, as long as you're back before the lights are off. But now it's, hey, don't even go past this street. And seeing that evolution through my 20s and just seeing how this generation that I was educating was more and more segregated from the parts of Philadelphia where they feel like you could have that journey without really leaving to go experience different cultures, different environments, and you can come back and go, oh, okay, I could stay here. I could embody this. This could be something that I love and I champion. That is what started We Love Philly, was being in Southwest, which I'm sure if anyone in Philadelphia has been to Southwest, like it feels like it's almost like a different country. Like you're out there, there's nothing there. There's no supermarkets. I was teaching at 64th and Elmwood for about 2 years and working with the young people there and just listening to them and going, no, there's nothing to do here. Can't wait till I leave. Can't wait to get out. Can't wait to go to these different places. And I'm like, hey, have you ever been to Wissahickon Park? Hey, have you ever been to Graffiti Pier? Hey, have you ever been to all of these different spaces? And they're like, what are you talking about? No, why would I go there? It's not safe. People are going to judge us. We're not welcome there. They're going to think that if a bunch of teenagers are going to a space that we're going to get in trouble or people are going to discriminate against us. So why would we do that? We're just here in Southwest Philly. And then it even hit me harder. I'm like, all right, have you ever been to Bartram's Gardens? And they're like, no. I'm like, and then when I took them there, they're like, oh, we went here in like first grade and we've never been back. And I'm like, all right, like this is the thing, right? There is no reason why a young person should have to leave the city, right, to go to, say, a college, to experience a whole nother way of life and have a whole different perspective when there's plenty of resources, opportunities, and money floating around in the city for them to do it here and to have that own personal awakening. And that's where We Love Philly started, was how do I get these young people out of the classroom, which was a whole nother obstacle. Is our young people, by the time they saw me at 16, just did not believe school was a place that learning happened. So after seeing that, it was like, all right, I need to get them out of the classroom. We need to go into different parts of the city, and I need to teach them that through service, you can consistently fill your cup and have the energy to go pursue what it is that you want to do in your life, and that you can do it right here in Philadelphia and become like a proud member, a proud citizen of Philadelphia. That was 2017. The idea came 2018. We started volunteering. 2019, we got the 501c3, and yeah.
Onward and upward.
Onward and upward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So as a musician and creative entrepreneur, you find your way around a lot of different spaces. Right now we are shooting in Rec Philly at the WXPN podcast studio space. And so I had run into Carlos in a few different moments. And
Literally here.
Yeah. So the first time that I had met Carlos, I walked into one of the studios and I just thought that I had the room reserved. And I was like, oh, my bad. So sorry. I will go somewhere else.
I think it was me, Tyed, and Kerry were in there.
Yeah. So I looked in. He was like, oh, you're Namarah. And I was doing a maker studio actually with Rock to the Future. Shout out to them. And they were, doing virtual learning. So I was finding other spaces to create virtual lessons for them. And so he was like, oh, yeah, I'm familiar with that squad. I'm like, cool. I don't know who you are, but just had that Carlos has always been a very outgoing, let's have the party here, I'll figure out who you are kind of energy.
Very much.
Yeah. And I'm like that, and not in the same sense. I'm always very curious about people. So it's nice to have those kind of conversations and connections. But we had 2 or 3 more run-ins like that where I thought I had booked a recording studio and it was actually Carlos and a student, and I just walked in. Yeah, so last fall, we were at a rooftop event for Jason Kelsey's Underdog launch, and go Birds, right? I travel and I love to be outside. So I had just come back from being in California, and Carlos was sharing about the work with We Love Philly, and I really got the chance to really listen to him about his passion for the organization. And at that point, I just said to myself, oh, I know some people who could be a mentor, or I could be a mentor, and we'll see what's going on, right? And then we revisited the conversation at the top of this year. I coach artists as well, so I work with creatives, and I was like, hey, y'all need some like identity work with your students? And he's like, let's talk. And it turned out to be instead, hey, we actually need an educator. And I'm like, hey, I could probably do something like that instead. And it's been actually a wonderful journey of how are the lessons that I've built in my curriculum, how has that turned into, how am I empowering young people in digital marketing and digital just running their business as entrepreneurs. And some of the students that we have, some of them are interested in music like I am, but some of them are interested in real estate. Some of them want to do art, or they just have so many different possibilities. But at the heart of it, it's how are we getting them the tools? And that was what I got sucked into like immediately. And then the space that we host our learning is so different, which was for me, whenever I think about school, I hated the fact that it was always a box. Everything was all on the walls, and we all had these uncomfortable wooden desks. And I'm like, I'm not in that stuff. I always was an alternative learner, wanted to have like divergent thinking opportunities. So when I thought of school, my head was, I'm going to go the other way instead, because institutionalized learning has failed so many. But seeing the space and the environment that We Love Philly actually curates was an easy yes, because you will always learn so much more when you're in an environment that's unfamiliar to you, because there's just so many opportunities to not be remembered of why you don't like something, or why you didn't pass a test, or maybe the bullies around the court. Like, there's just so many norms that you have in a typical school setting that you just don't have when we are hosting our classes and spaces in the space that we have at One Art.
That's so true. I think it was true when we went to high school, right? All of the baggage that we went through in life, like it carried with us inside the four walls, but it also wasn't addressed completely, at least from my perspective, right? I'm a product of the Philadelphia school system, and you had to learn how to just shut it down and either leave it at the door, or you struggled all school year. And so for me, like, my introduction to We Love Philly was also through Carlos with Rec Philly. Shout out to Rec for being a connector on all of this, which was also our introduction as well through a mutual friend, also a Rec member. Yeah. And so when we're at this podcast workshop,
Kevin Schmidlin.
Shout out Kevin. I haven't talked to Kevin in a while.
He's living his best life in Miami.
He is. But we just happen to be sitting next to each other, and we get to talking, and we're talking, and we're like, yo, we should really like connect and stay in touch. And so I've had this unique experience of seeing We Love Philly grow from its early stages to where it is today. But also, like, the one thing that really propelled me to stay in touch, not just with Carlos as a friend, but to be involved with We Love Philly, out there with the students doing cleanups, with the students at Venture Cafe, being in multiple podcast interviews, doing joint events together, was this opportunity to impact a student's life, right? Like, when we all talked about this in the beginning, our perception, or the perception that exists around Philly, I saw such a unique opportunity to reshape how folks are showing up. One of the things that I've experienced both when I've worked in both the nonprofit space and corporate space is Philly does have this gritty demeanor to it and reputation to it, but sometimes that grittiness also works against us, right? There's a negative impact of it. And you were talking about taking students to Bartram Gardens, for example, and taking them to Wissahickon. And so I remember walking the neighborhood one day and finding a community garden in the heart of North Philly that I had no idea was there. And it's like those little gems are things that if we buy into the narrative of what is said about Philly, we don't want to come outside. We don't find the community, right? We don't know the beauty of the city. And so that is really what gravitated me towards We Love Philly, just to be a part of the community and to be a part of the tribe. Is like, no, we love Philly. We love Philly, full stop, right? Let's be a part of this unique experience of how we reframe this for our young folks. And then when Carlos needed a director of development, it was right in a transition period for me. And I was like, absolutely, let's go. This isn't even this isn't a thing.
Yeah, I sent all of the Pokemon GIFs and memes of happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it goes back to, right, it's We Love Philly. And then at the same time, like, that is the third layer, in my opinion, for, like, the love, right? Especially when you talk about a young person. You can't see her right now, but I'm staring at Millie, who's behind the camera. I've known Millie for 8 years, right? And she's been here since the beginning of me having these ideas. And speaking with her, it would be like, Philly? Nah, Philly, I'm trying to get out of here, right?
First F-bomb.
Yeah, I have a child. It's not safe for her. I don't want her to be raised here. And having those conversations with the young people, and then also having the realizations to myself that, oh, we can't really love Philly until we love ourselves.
That's right.
And do I love myself?
That's right.
And can I then teach young people that it's possible for them to love themselves? And then once they love themselves, right, this is all the inner work that needs to happen, where I think people shy away from this word love in our city, because it's very tough when you grow up in a city that has a long history of trauma, racism, redlining, segregation, like all of the things like Philly does.
Yeah.
And now it's, hey, we all have to live here and we all have to coexist. In order to do that, we really have to start with self and loving yourself. And then it's like, all right, now that we love yourself, can we start to love on our family where this trauma came from? And can we start to love and forgive them? And these are all things we talk, like, this is center curriculum in We Love Philly.
Yeah.
And then once that is addressed, then it's, all right, we are doing things that our parents did not teach us, and have, or community or politicians or teachers, the adults who were supposed to show us the way didn't. Now, how do we step into these spaces in order to love them, and so our city can become a better place and we can love our city? Having those realizations in myself and knowing all the inner work that I had to do in order to get there, that's the culminating thing. That's where we're trying to get to. And I think when it comes to the young people, that's the answer that schools aren't giving them. That's the answers that these Walmart jobs or these low-paying wages aren't giving them. Some teachers aren't giving them. They feel like it's not their responsibility to love them. It's not their kids. This isn't my child. But if you really want to get to the space where we can coexist and live in a city where we're trying to make it better year by year, you have to have that inner work. You have to look at yourself. You have to see yourself as part of the problem, so you can then be part of the solution. And I think that is where we're going. And that's the overarching goal with our curriculum and how we're moving, is what does it need to take place in order for us to get to loving Philly? And what does that look like from an adult perspective, a young person's perspective? And then when our young people bring the next generation in, what's it look like for their kids?
What is in your life's blueprint?